I think that's the first time I've heard that song sung in that way. Very special, very special. Thank you, Landon. Thank you, Wes. Thank you, Sue. Well, it's a special day. Today is Confirmation Sunday. And confirmands, I want to begin by thanking you for hanging in there. I know this has been a long journey, 9 to 10 months, and you've hung in there. And we're proud of you. So what I want to do first is have you stand, have all the confirmands stand, and congregation, let's thank God for our confirmands. Now, they didn't walk this journey alone. I want to commend Sue Highland, who developed this particular confirmation journey, which is very special. And Sue, thank you. Let's give God a hand for Sue. Parents and grandparents, no confirmand ever comes to this place on his or her journey without you, without the seeds of faith that you planted, without the way you've encouraged them and modeled for them the Jesus journey. So parents and grandparents, you stand. Let's give you a hand from God. And also the mentors, those adults who have been on this journey with Sue and helping lead the confirmation process, the confirmation journey. So if you're one of the confirmation mentors or adult volunteers, would you stand as well? Because you deserve our applause too. Would you stand? Don't be bashful. All right, young people. Big day, right? You ready? Let me tell you what you're going to do today. Today, you're going to say you'll follow Jesus. Do you know that? Whatever else you've done on this journey, whatever you've studied, whatever you've read, whatever encouragement you've gotten, it all boils down to one thing on this day, in this place, and that is that you're going to say at this altar that you will follow Jesus. Let me tell you something. Those are big words. Two simple words, but big words. And they're big words because if I say I'm going to follow Jesus, then guess what? I need to learn to live like Jesus. It's not enough for Richard Smith to say, I will follow you, Lord. And it's not enough for you young people to say, hey, I'll follow you, Lord. Boils down to this. Will you today at this altar be willing to do your best to live like him? Now you have an insert in your bulletin. It's my message to you. And I'm going to hit the high points of that message. And here's what I want to say to you. To live like Jesus means certain things, right? Here's what it first of all means. That you'll love God the way Jesus loved God. Now, when you and I use the word love, I've got that on my sheet. When you and I use the word love, we use it rather loosely, don't we? You know, I love my favorite band. I love that song. I love that movie. I love that social media site. I love that group. Look how frequently you and I throw the word love around. Kind of casually, don't we? So certainly we don't mean that about God. That we're going to love God the same way we love our favorite band, or our favorite song, or our favorite social media site, or our favorite movie. A lot more than that, isn't it? I got 4 things there. To love God is to want to obey him. To love God is to spend time with him. To love God is to listen to him. And to love God is to seek to do his will. Can you do that? Can you say today, and I believe you can, God, I love you enough to obey you, to spend time with you, to listen to you, and to do your will. Second thing to live like Jesus is to love other people the way Jesus loved them. Now, you know people who are easy to love, don't you? There are some people who are just easy to love. They're likable. They're popular. Everybody loves them. Everybody likes them. They rally the group around them. You think that's the only people Jesus wants us to love? You know that's not the case. You know he wants you to love the absolutely unlikable. You know he wants you to love the ignored. He wants you to love the different. He wants you to love the people nobody else will love. And I know this. I know in your school systems, in your neighborhoods, in your groups, that there are people who would have you love just a few. My circle, my friends, my group. Oh, let's love them. Could you and I be the ones who will dare to love the people nobody else loves? Could you on this day, as you say, I'll follow you, Lord, be willing to step out into your neighborhood, into your school, into your groups and say, I'll dare to love the people nobody else loves? I hope so. The other thing is to live like Jesus is to stand up for what is good and right and just. You realize today this church is asking you to join us in changing the world. Now, some of you are probably thinking, hey, Reverend Richard, I'm only a sixth grader going into the seventh grade. How do I change the world? You can. Every confirmation Sunday since I've been here now over 4 years, I've mentioned to the confirmands that one of the things every confirmand can do is do something about bullying in your groups. You could change the world if you would have the courage of God and the witness of Jesus to do something about bullying. And you see it, don't you? Of course you do. And you can do something about it. Here's what you can do about it. Refuse to participate. Show attention to the one being bullied. And let people know that bullying's going on. You would change your school. And you'd change somebody's life, right? Who's being bullied. I also know, because you're just like the rest of us, you're like us parents and grandparents and adults here, that you're in groups that tend to do a lot of judging. Well, I don't like the way he does things. I don't like who she is. She's not one of us. If we would just quit judging one another, do you realize we'd change the world? Think about that. If we would just quit judging one another, we would change the world. You, me, everybody here. Change the world. Let me tell you another thing. Jesus believed that he needed to practice spiritual disciplines. Let me tell you what spiritual disciplines are. One is church. Do you know Jesus went to church? Do you know that? They didn't call it church, they called it synagogue. But he went to church regularly. That's what the Gospels tells us. They say Jesus went to the synagogue as was his custom. That means that Jesus believed church matters. I hope you know church matters. You do, don't you? Oh, we're not perfect. We drop the ball. We let each other down. But I wouldn't be here, and your parents wouldn't be here, and your grandparents wouldn't be here, and all these adult mentors wouldn't be here if they didn't believe coming to church mattered. Hope you realize that. Coming to church matters. Reading the Bible matters. Praying matters. They matter to Jesus, they should matter to you. Now, Jesus didn't have the Bible that you and I had, but he had what are called scriptures, the Hebrew scriptures, and he read those. I hope you'll read them. Confirmation is going to be over, and you'll continue in youth group, hopefully. But I hope you'll spend the same attention with the Bible that you've spent during confirmation, because here's what will happen. You'll change. We all change when we spend time in church. We all change when we spend time with the Bible. We all change when we spend time in prayer. Now, having said all of that, let me say this finally. You're not going to do it perfectly. Raise your hand if you think Richard Smith does it perfectly. Shucks, I thought I'd paid somebody to... You know I don't do it perfectly. Raise your hand if you think your parents model Jesus perfectly. The parents know the answer to that question. Raise your hand if Sue Highland models Jesus perfectly. Nobody. Nobody's close. Nobody's close. But you know something? The beauty of it is, Jesus said, God loves you and God loves me even though I mess up. Even though there are days I'm not close and you're not close. Never for one moment ever forget that while you're trying to live like Jesus, God's going to love you in the ups and downs, the good, the bad, the days you shine brightly and the days you're a real dud. And I'm a dud in the Christian faith. Never forget that. Finally, this. When you've done all that, you know what Jesus said you're called? He didn't say Methodist confirmands. He didn't say sixth graders going into the seventh grade. You know what Jesus said you and I are? And in particular on this day, you are, if you try to live like him, the friends of Jesus. Wow. You are a friend of Jesus. And we thank God for you. Now my challenge is, on this day, after you leave this place, do everything you can with God's help to be a friend of Jesus out in the world for everybody to see. That's what we want for you. God bless you. Thank you. Would you come here to this altar of confirmands?